Hi everyone, it's Gary Nixon here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook video for Easter and beyond, updated on Thursday the 29th of March. And overall, it's a cold Easter period on the mountains, the terrain very much in winter condition really, particularly across the Scottish Highlands, with extensive snow cover focused on those eastern regions. Not a bad weekend for many places. Sunday is the pick of them for dry and bright conditions most extensively, and then things go downhill into Monday as fronts come up from the south. Now we'll just jump ahead into Monday, and that's where we've got the risk of some snow falling extensively across the hills and mountains, starting off across Wales, maybe even some snow to quite low levels in central northern England. Becoming more confined to the hills, you'll see the snow depth at lower levels soon disappears away again, but you can pick out more or less where the Pennines are just based on the snow distribution, and that advances northwards towards Scotland now. Whether that's during Monday daytime or more into the early hours of Tuesday is uncertain, but it could give some more substantial falls for the southern uplands, and then particularly the South and Southeast Highlands through into Tuesday. Now there is a chance that snow never quite makes it as far north as Scotland, and it becomes a more Pennine-centred event before the whole system gets drawn away into the North Sea into midweek. We'll come to some more of those charts in a moment. This is temperatures then over the next few days. We're back to Good Friday here, and the temperatures through the Easter weekend. It's around -5 on the highest at Scottish tops. That you'll be seeing freezing levels around 600 to 800 metres or lower across eastern Scotland in particular. Not a great deal of change in temperature over this Easter weekend. We might gain a degree or so by the time we go through Easter Sunday, but the air temperature aloft stays cold, so that general chilly feel is going to be around through this weekend. Through Monday, we see fronts coming up from the south, and freezing levels will tend to rise eventually. How soon that gets northwards, though, is the uncertainty. Essentially, I'd work on Scotland being cold, and you may get away with a drier day. These are your charts through the weekend then, and don't forget to check your local details in all the written files on the website. Friday sees low pressure centred towards the south. We've got various zones of rain and snow extensively down to low levels in eastern Scotland, but toward the West Highlands it's somewhat drier with just a few showers. Occasional showers breaking out in the afternoon across northern England. Something a bit more organised may come up from the south into Wales. Low pressure pivots around across England and Wales through into Saturday, and slow-moving fronts could give a rather poor day across the Pennines and parts of Wales too, for that matter, with low cloud and the risk of snow. Rain only the lowest slopes, perhaps, for a good part of the day, although may tend to fade as that system gradually pulls eastwards. Some snow flurries coming into eastern Scotland. Amounts should be small, and the Western Highlands faring best of all, and maybe much of the Lake District not doing too bad, but a windy day across the Pennines and Wales, up to gale force at least for part of the day, so significant, maybe severe wind chill where directly exposed. Things are better though by Sunday. Lighter winds overall. We've got the next set of fronts trying to approach from the southwest, but they should only get into Wales in the back end of the day. Essentially then dry and bright, 1 or 2 snow flurries in the far north of Scotland, but should just be confined to maybe Caithness and Sutherland and just into the northern Cairngorms. Otherwise it cloud breaks to higher tops, winds fairly light, and a bright day for Easter Sunday. That's the latest chart for Monday, and timing and northward progress of these fronts uncertain. It looks as though snow on the leading edge of that system, then turning to rain up to higher levels gradually as the warm sector moves northwards, but a chance that this hardly gets further north than the Pennines, which would leave much of Scotland in the clear for a decent day with maybe just a few snow flurries towards the east. But there is a risk that snow does advance northwards more quickly, gets into the south of Scotland and deteriorates through the day. The risk of widespread upland gales then, I think, focused from the south of Scotland southwards. All in all, the best of all should be the far north of Scotland for staying the driest. It may be that more of Scotland does pretty well, so watch your details by this stage. It looks a poor day though for most of Wales and the Pennines, and the risk of extensive snowfall to quite low levels. So it's all a bit of a mess as we go into the start of next week, and all we can really do at 4 or 5 days out is try and get the general themes rather than anything too clever. There's the area of low pressure that's around somewhere across central Britain through into Tuesday, which leaves Scotland in cold air and an east or maybe even northeasterly wind with the risk of some snow showers. That low gets drawn away into the North Sea. For a time it may allow then pressure to build from the Atlantic in midweek, but I think leaves the idea of showers being in the mix, particularly across Scotland, perhaps more widely if lower pressure hangs around for longer. I think there is something around Wednesday, Thursday of the week which sees a better day briefly, but then it looks as though low pressure off the Atlantic is trying to drive in before we get to next weekend. That could, though, bring a push of milder air as we turn toward the weekend as winds turn south or southwesterly, that could bring some heavier falls of rain. It's not absolutely set in stone yet, but the indications are starting to come round towards more of a south-southwesterly type of pattern, heading towards that next weekend and beyond. That's the 7-day pressure anomalies, which shows low pressure parked over the Atlantic, higher pressure focused over Central Eastern Europe, and high pressure towards Spain and Portugal. So the risk of some heavy falls of rain coming in, it may be a fairly short-lived burst of milder air, but I think the idea of perhaps hanging on to something on the cooler side still for a little while, with eventually the trend trying to come round towards building pressure, not shown particularly here, but some model indications towards mid-April show something more settled and drier getting in. Of course, we'll get more details out of that nearer the time. In the short term, it's a cold Easter weekend. It's a wintry picture on the mountains, so be prepared for that if you are heading out. We'll update the next video again over the weekend, so keep an eye out for that one. We'll look ahead through that first full week of April in a bit more detail. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.